Hello best learners, this is Mustafa here at Learn with the Best, and today we're going to be discussing Robert Greene's 48th Law of Power, Assume Formlessness. In this video, I'm going to define the law for you, and then we'll go over a short story from the past as well as a story from the present, and then we'll wrap up and look at how we can use this law to our advantage by examining a few experiences from my very own past where I assumed formlessness. Here's the law. By taking a shape, by having a visible plan, you open yourself to attack. Instead of taking a form for your enemy to grasp, keep yourself adaptable and on the move. Accept the fact that nothing is certain and no law is fixed. The best way to protect yourself is to be as fluid and formless as water. Never bet on stability or lasting order. Everything changes. So once upon a time, there was a city called Sparta. It was a city that believed in great strength. From the moment that Spartan boys turned 7, they were thrown into a training regime that never ended. This created the fiercest and strongest infantry that the world had ever known. One Spartan warrior could kill 10 enemy soldiers. The reason that Sparta went to such great lengths to become the strongest in the world was because they wanted to keep what was theirs. They didn't want to engage in any new wars, and they didn't want new lands. They didn't care about trade, and so they simply neglected the seaports. They didn't have any currency because they believed in living a simple life without possessions. They only knew strength for the purposes of defending their own land from invaders. At the time that Sparta was focusing on their warlike culture, another city was also on the rise, Athens. The Athenians believed in the luxuries of life. They traded with other nations, and they had a currency system of their own. Their owl coins were known all throughout the land. They believed in the arts, in music, and in entertainment. For years, tensions had been building between Sparta and Athens, and when war finally broke, Sparta emerged victorious because Sparta had the superior army. Now, Sparta had to figure out how to expand and rule the new domain of Athens. So they sent out their Spartan leaders far from home at stations all around Athens. The Athenian money, the Athenian politics, the Athenian economics, the Spartans didn't know what to do with any of this. The Spartan discipline was also quickly deteriorating because the Athenian culture of luxury slowly crept in. About 30 years later, another city by the name of Thebes came in and destroyed Sparta. Sparta was kind of like an animal that develops a thick shell to protect itself from its environment. They didn't want to expand, they didn't want to trade, and they were completely unwilling to grow and adapt to the things around them. They did not know how to assume formlessness. They were able to preserve their people and their culture for 300 years, but because of their inability to adapt, their inability to assume formlessness, they were eventually defeated by the slow, luxurious corruption of Athens. And then Thebes finally came in and delivered the final blow, wiping them all out. So what about more of a modern example? Let's take Blockbuster video for instance. But before we do that, I need your help with YouTube's algorithm. Please simply engage with this video. Things like smashing the thumbs up button below, subscribing, commenting, and sharing the video with your friends on your social networks really do help me out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you did engage with this video. And if you want to transform yourself from a lamb to a lion, then check out my course pinned in the top comment below. I will teach you the tools that you need for success, but you have to actually step up and put in the work on yourself. This course is not for everyone because the majority of the population are sheep, but for those very few of us who do want to walk the path of a lion, this is the course for you. So back in the day, movies would come out in theaters, and that was basically it, right? That was how you enjoyed them. Then eventually the VHS tape was invented, and movies could finally be owned by consumers to enjoy in the comfort of their own homes. But then there was a huge problem. One movie on VHS cost around $100. Can you imagine walking into a Walmart back in like 1980 and looking at the newest Tom and Jerry movie and it's like $100? And this is $100 back like, 30 years ago. So throw inflation into the equation and you're looking at a little over $200 in today's money. So anyway, Blockbuster came out and they had this great idea of buying these VHS movies directly from studios for like $2 each and then renting them out to customers. In turn for allowing Blockbuster to buy the VHS for such a low price, Blockbuster would share a portion of the rental profits with the studios. It was a great idea back then. I remember being a kid and my family would have movie nights once a week, and it was a big deal going into Blockbuster and finding a movie that you wanted to watch, that your parents also wanted to watch, that your siblings also wanted to watch. You'd walk around the Blockbuster for like an hour, taking in that distinct Blockbuster scent, talking to the employees and asking them which movies they would recommend, seeing some friends from school with their families also looking for movies. It was a great nostalgic experience that is gone now, sadly, because we can watch whatever we want at the drop of a hat, all off of the digital platforms of today. So anyway, Blockbuster was huge, right? And then they disappeared almost overnight. And why is that? It's because, just like the Spartans and countless other cultures, societies, and businesses, they couldn't assume formlessness. They were not willing to adapt with the times. Netflix was small back then, and Blockbuster even had the chance to buy Netflix outright, but Blockbuster refused. Trends were switching to digital, and Blockbuster knew it, but the executives were too busy worried about the profits of the now rather than the future. Okay, so how can we use this law in our lives? By understanding that we need to quickly adapt to our circumstances depending on what those circumstances are and what the environment is that we are in. I love this quote from Bruce Lee, as it perfectly encapsulates the law. Be like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind. Be formless. Be shapeless. Be like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. If you put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. If you put water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Alright, so once upon a time, when I was in South Korea, I got hit with something completely unexpected at the time. I had to use the restroom, and when I went in there for the first time, the toilet was like this slab of porcelain on the floor. It was like in the floor. Like the whole thing was completely in line with the floor. So you have to kind of squat with your feet far apart in this uncomfortable position and then do your business. I had never used one of these before, and it was honestly uncomfortable for me. But I was a visitor in beautiful South Korea, and instead of complaining and moaning about it, I quickly assumed formlessness. I did the deed, and I went about my day. No big deal. I'm a big boy. And then when I was in Egypt, another instance, right? I wanted to enjoy the trip while practicing mindfulness around the ancient sites, like around the Great Pyramids of Giza, all of the temples in Luxor, and the excavation sites where they were digging up previously unknown villages. But the current situation with Egypt, right, is that it's a developing country and that it creates a need for the people to hustle with every foreigner that they see. And it's not just the regular hustle that you see in many other countries. It's more of like a serious hackling, like bordering on harassment. So while I'm walking and minding my own business, people would just come up to me trying to sell me things and also trying to con me by saying, for example, if you go this way, then you have to pay me a tax of X amount of Egyptian pounds. It was extremely annoying, but instead of really letting it get on my nerves, I assumed formlessness. I adapted to the time and the place. I adapted to the people. I practiced empathy. So, in closing, do not be too rigid in your thinking. We all see the world from our own perspective, but we need to understand that it is only our very own perspective. That does not mean that it is the right or wrong perspective. It is just simply our perspective. When dealing with others, be kind, but do not let your enemies mistake that kindness for weakness. Unless, of course, that's what you want them to think. Use all 48 laws depending on your circumstances. Combine some laws to your benefit and disregard others if the situation doesn't call for it. Always remember that half of all power comes from not doing anything at all. That means talk less and listen more. I hope all of that made sense. Wow, this is the last law, the 48th law of power. And if you're here at the end, standing shoulder to shoulder with me, then I thank you. It's been quite an exciting journey for me producing all of these videos, and I sincerely hope that I was able to teach you something. And if I did, then I would consider that a success. Please tell me what you would like to see next. I am considering new videos on Robert Greene's Laws of Human Nature. Maybe doing something with Jordan Peterson's Rules for Life. I don't know yet, but I'm open to suggestions. If you're interested in more content regarding the 48 laws, then I'm sure you know by now, I do have a Patreon where I have created even more content regarding the 48 laws. The link is going to be pinned in the top comment below. Thanks again, all of you guys. You've been great. And, I don't know when I'll be posting a new video. In the meantime, you can rewatch all of my videos on the 48 Laws of Power until you know them like the back of your hand. And I'll see you next time in the next video. All of these videos, I've batched them. So I've done them back to back to back to back. And each video from the inception all the way up to, uploaded on YouTube, each video takes me about 20 hours of work. So it is a lot of work. I'm not complaining, it's a lot of work, but I just want you to understand that it may be some time until the next video is posted. And at this point, I don't know if these videos have been a success, right? All 48 laws, I don't know if they've been a success here on YouTube. But if they are, then of course I'm going to be continuing on with YouTube. But if they're not a success, then unfortunately I do have to stop. But hopefully I've brought some sort of a value to your life, and if I've brought value to even one life out there, then I'm happy. Heck, if you're a different person today than you were yesterday because of me in some way, then I'm truly honored and I'm truly humbled. And really, that's really just the point of all of this. I want you to sort of like take the red pill, right? And that's kind of what you're doing with the 48 Laws of Power. You're taking a red pill. You're going against the grain. The whole theme, the whole idea of my channel is to not be a sheep. And I think Robert Greene perfectly teaches us these laws in line with the theme of my channel. So anyway, I'm just rambling now, but if I've brought some sort of a value to your life, then I am truly, truly happy. Thank you, all of my viewers, all of my students, all of Robert Greene's students. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on this journey with me. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.